Good evening. Pakistan won't take back the Rochdale rape gang ringleaders. Adil Khan and Qari Abdul Rauf were jailed for leading a 9-strong gang who sexually assaulted 47 girls, some of them as young as 12 years old, after plying them with drink and drugs. They were initially jailed in 2012 and then set for deportation back in 2018. But what they did was they destroyed their Pakistani passports. So that's that then, is it? So what about this lot? This is one of the most recent grooming gangs as well. In fact, some of them were convicted just last week, I believe. Well, 4 of them were born in Pakistan. I mean, if they just destroy their passport, are they Britain's problem now too? Well, do we have any leverage over Pakistan? I think we do. Between 2015 and 2019, Pakistan was the largest recipient of British foreign aid. We're set to give them 133 million quid this year alone. So withhold it then. Block it. What about the visas that we keep dishing out? There are approximately 1.66 million people of Pakistani origin living in the United Kingdom. We'll just say, hey, sorry, you can't send people to Britain to live, work and probably claim benefits in some cases as well, let's be honest, and then not take back your rapists. It's not like Pakistan seems to care about the quality of person they allow to live there, is it?
You have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
Osama bin Laden managed to spend years living right next to Pakistan's main military base. Funny that, isn't it? And for all this talk about international law, the Pakistani government don't seem to care about international law. They forcefully deported nearly 855,000 Afghans in the last 2 years, even though those people face persecution by the Taliban. So Pakistan face huge levels of criticism from this, from charities, from international lawyers, from all sorts. Do you know what they did? They doubled down. They just deported more of them in April. I mean, we are about to have this.
Baroness Casey sets out 12 recommendations for change. We will take action on all of them immediately because we cannot afford more wasted years. New national inquiry to direct local investigations and hold institutions to account for past failures.
Right, national grooming gang inquiry. We all know what that's going to unearth, don't we? We know that there's going to be a lot of Pakistani men involved.
And on the key issues of ethnicity that I'd asked her to examine, they identify clear evidence of over-representation among suspects of Asian and Pakistani heritage men. And she refers to examples of organisations avoiding the topic altogether for fear of appearing racist or raising community tensions.
OK, so down the back of the sofa, we're going to find loads of them that we need to deport. And this Labour government is, frankly, internationally regarded as such a bad negotiator that Pakistan, instead of being utterly ashamed that Pakistan has sent us so many rapists and paedophiles, they are instead demanding that Labour accepts this. Just the return of their national airline, isn't it? Honestly, I mean, if this government can't get Pakistani men who raped our girls on a plane back to their homeland, then they are even more useless than I thought. Let's get thoughts on my panel. We have former Tory MP Anna Firth. We've also got Tory peer Lord Bailey and ex-Labour Party advisor Matthew Larser. Anna, I'll start with you. I mean, here's a radical idea. We just charter a flight, we put all of the Pakistani rapists and paedophiles on it, we drop them off back in Pakistan, and then we don't care about what the Pakistani government thinks about that.
3 options.
Right.
1 plane,
yeah,
as you've just said. Not possible, drop them at the border. If that's not possible, plane with a parachute. Simple.
Right.
But the reason I actually feel really strongly about this, Patrick, is because I looked these figures up about the aid we're sending there. This year, as you said, 133 million. Last year, 41 million. Mm-hmm. So we've tripled it. Now, when you look at the House of Lords report on what this aid's supposed to do in Pakistan, and I quote, ministers have said that the UK's goal is to support Pakistan to become a more open society in which the rights of women and girls
Oh, my God.
are better protected.
Oh, my
22% of that 133 goes on that policy. That's £30 million to protect women and girls in Pakistan while we are having Pakistani men here raping our 12-year-old girls.
And actually, one of the blokes who's pictured there is on the left of the picture there. He came out of prison and started working as a delivery driver back in his hometown. So whilst we're sending money to the Pakistani government to protect their own women and girls, supposedly, this guy, if you were one of his victims, he might have delivered a pizza to your front door after he come out of prison. Shocking. How do we convince the Pakistanis to take them back, do you think, Sean?
Look, there's two issues here. One is we need to care for ourselves. We are a nation that's increasingly sending a message abroad. We don't care. We're standing on all these principles that nobody cares about. We sit in Parliament and talk about our international reputation. Well, we're internationally seen as fools, as soft touch. We need to get on top of that. And let's be very clear, I would not send a penny to Pakistan until they accepted their international responsibilities. Because I bet your bottom dollar, if it was reversed, we'd take them back. So why do we expect less from them? Pakistan is a fully recognised country in the world, sophisticated people. They can deal with their own criminals. We shouldn't have to. And again, it should be linked to that aid. We have leverage. Let's use the leverage. It is morally moribund not to respond by taking that money back. The safety of our girls, the sanctity of our borders, and just our pure reputation in the world should be defended. And if the Labour Party doesn't do this, it will start to send a message as to why people shouldn't support them.
Well, this is... So look, Matthew, this obviously, in my view, should have been done years ago, right? But we are where we are. Yeah. We're going to have this national inquiry now, and we all know what this is going to unearth. It's the sheer scale of it. And unfortunately, it's going to show what a lot of us already know, really, which is there's been a huge issue with Pakistani men in Britain behaving this way. So we're going to end up with hundreds and hundreds of cases that the Labour government are going to be called to deport these people. How are they going to do it? Do you think they will do it?
So one of the problems is this is obviously if people... not everybody has Pakistani citizenship because even if you've got Pakistani heritage, it doesn't mean you have a lot of people with Irish heritage decide not to get the passport, even if you've got an Irish parent or grandparent or great-grandparent. So, but those people who have got dual citizenship... I'm a dual citizen myself, with my dad was Australian, and, you know, I can't go into Australia with my British passport. I have to go in on my Aussie one because you're under the rules there of the country. But what people are doing is, when they are convicted of the crime, they are then renouncing their other citizenship so that they are not then deported. And I think that exactly. That's exactly what I think we should do.
Oh, good. So that's okay, right. So we might be solving things here, actually. So thank you for that, because if we think that this report is going to take about 3 years, this national inquiry,
we should stop that now.
That gives us time to make it so that you can't just shred your passport.
It's effectively that, yeah.
The problem is, right, what I see when I'm in Parliament is that we administer the law by the letter of the law, but we don't seem to understand that other people game the system.
Yeah, and it's not just Pakistan being difficult, it's the people themselves gaming the system.
I'm not, this is going to have to do with
No, absolutely. No, I'm not.
I mean, in every aspect. If all these things about people want to leave the ECHR and all that, if you get down to the core of it, it's people gaming the system. Yeah. It was never set up to be abused like this, but it can be abused, and we never.
And that's what destroys public trust in the system.
Exactly.
But the simple thing is, and I think we are all in agreement here, the moment that a foreign person commits a crime in this country, they lose their right to stay in this country. We don't need to get into... I mean, I personally think we were right to strip him of British citizenship, but the moment we did that, he should have been on a plane. But actually, the moment he should have been on the plane was 2012, when he was convicted of raping British girls.
Yes. The thing is, so Pakistan, as I've said there, doesn't seem to mind deporting people without documentation or that themselves. So why should we bother whether or not the Pakistanis say that we can't do it? I mean, there are flights to Pakistan. We could just put them on.
I get
it might be more as part of the deal.
I get the temptation. I get the temptation to just send them back. But if we have any international reputation, is that we are a civil nation. And there is an argument, if someone commits a crime here, we put them in prison to make sure they actually serve a sentence. That's part of looking after the victim. But we should be equally as robust at sending them back.
I'm sorry,
and if they have any kind of Pakistani citizenship. If they're actually a Pakistani citizen, I will put them on a plane to Pakistan.
But Sean, I, as a taxpayer, do not want to pay for that foreign criminal to be in our prisons. It costs as much for them to be in prison as to go to Eton. I just want to send them back.
I accept that to a certain level, but what I wouldn't want is that person to do whatever havoc they create here and then go home and have a look.
I'll be honest with you, I would have thought, seriously, I would have thought that if I was the Pakistani government now and I was seeing everything, because they'll be seeing all this, seeing all these reports, I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, this looks awful for us. It looks as though our men have a real problem, and we can't have that. It's embarrassing for our country. Can you imagine if this was being spoken about in Pakistan right now, that there'd been groups of British men who'd gone over there and then maybe in some cases and done all of this? I'd be like, oh my God, this is awful for us.
There's lots of people.
They don't seem to mind. They're like, well, I'll tell you what, if we have an airline, then we might take some of them back.
Well, this is because they're saying that if Pakistan International Airlines, their national airline, which is currently banned from the UK on safety reasons,
they're using this as leverage.
As a bargaining chip. Absolutely.
They're not linked.
Look, I think
they're not linked.
I think there are lots of people from Pakistan, people here of Pakistani heritage, who completely condemn what happened. And in particular, if you actually look at it, it seems that people from one particular region of Pakistan, a particularly rural region,
around Mirpur, which is where they want this new airport, this international airport.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that for the sake both of Pakistan's international representation and people of Pakistani heritage around the world's reputation, the Pakistani government needs to work with the British government to send those who are convicted of these heinous crimes back.
But we should not get into any sort of negotiation about flights or anything else, because this is about.
No, I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I know you are. No, I know you are. And I'm actually delighted that we're all in agreement.
We'll have to find something to argue about after 11 o'clock.
Absolutely. The reason we're in agreement is because we want to protect and stand up for British girls and for children.
And also, it's very simple. The other thing I think as well, our Pakistani-based community here will want those changes made. They won't want to keep these in their community. They won't want to be being looked at in this fashion. And the people who can solve that for them is the Pakistani government by taking these men.
And I think communities have to take responsibility, which is why people shouldn't be going back to being delivery drivers and cab drivers.
Well, I agree. And actually, I think that's something. Again, we have got a national inquiry coming. Unfortunately, it's going to take a couple of years, but I think that's going to be a big part of it. How readily accepted were these people back into their family homes and into their wider communities and into their local areas? Because it appears in the case of several of them, they just walk straight back in, which I find odd. I don't think that would happen. If any of us had been accused or found guilty of some of these crimes.
And I think Andy Burnham has made this very point that actually you cannot integrate these people back into a community where they've committed these heinous crimes. It's not fair on the community.
Who knows? Andy, what he's saying is right. It's unfair, but we don't know how welcoming or not these communities are. That's the thing that we don't know.
Yes.
I don't even believe the inquiry can get to the bottom of that. It can ask that question, but I don't know if it'll get a decent answer.
Just lastly, because we've probably got a couple of minutes left on this. So when it comes to Labour's negotiating track record, clearly some would say it's not great.
We've had
Chagos, we've had Gibraltar. There's probably a few other bits.
The Gibraltarians love that deal.
The Gibraltarians apparently love the deal. Yes, I'm at pace to say. But anyway, anyone with a British passport really doesn't necessarily. But anyway, whatever. So do we think that Labour's going to be able to negotiate a decent thing here?
You can't put Starmer in charge of this negotiation because he's got the negotiating skills of a gnat.
Well,
he's absolutely useless. But actually, well, no, you might not disagree with this because actually, I really think you need a woman in charge of this, and I actually would put Angela Rayner on this task.
Make a good Foreign Secretary. Look, I certainly wouldn't put Lord Hermer in charge of this because
he should. I don't know how long Lord Hermer will be in the Lord
Hermer Airport.
Oh my God!
You know the problem. I tell you the problem: the use of the word negotiation. If I ran it,
not a negotiation.
This would have been negotiation. Here's what's going to happen. And good luck with that.
But I think if
the government needs to be tough. And so it needs to negotiate with gloves on, as it were.
Well, there we go. Well, look,
gloves off. Gloves off.
Whatever. I get me.
I knew what you meant. As long as there's some metaphorical punching going on, that's all right. But anyway, right. Well, this story is going to rumble on. So